award-winning 11 News at noon.
President Obama directly confronted Iran and Syria as he addressed the two countries in front of the United Nations. The president referred to terrorist attacks in Libya and the deaths of U.S. citizens abroad, including Ambassador to Libya Chris Stevens, saying the U.S. government will actively pursue the killers.
The attacks on the civilians in Benghazi were attacks on America. We are grateful for the assistance we received from the Libyan government and from the Libyan people. There should be no doubt that we will be relentless in tracking down the killers and bringing them to justice.
Obama warned UN officials that these attacks were not simply against the U.S., but also on UN values and ideals. Bad news on the economic front. Utah's jobless rate rose to 6% this week. As 11 News reporter Matt Rascone shows us, that's an increase of almost 3,000 Utahns who are now unemployed.
As I met and spoke with people who are dealing with joblessness, I saw firsthand the toll it can take.
I think she might have taken the dog with her, actually.
Eric Penrod begins his day at 6:30 every morning.
That couch gets slept on, and
Only he doesn't begin his day preparing for work.
that computer's right there, submitting resumes.
He begins by looking for work.
I was diagnosed in May with a severe case of mono.
And in August, Eric lost his job as a tow truck operator.
It's been humbling. Can't even describe to you how hard it is to get out of bed sometimes.
And to add insult to injury, he's sick with mono while he searches for a job.
I've never had to go through anything like this before, and I've always liked working.
Eric's story is one of thousands in Utah. Like him, so many others come to this building in search for work.
Times are getting tougher now. We've just got to get tougher.
Fox Anderson knows a thing or two about being unemployed.
You are up against a real monster here, and this monster is hungry.
He's been jobless 3 different times.
It gets tiresome, it gets hard, it gets frustrating, but you've got to ruck up, you've got to get a good attitude and get in every day.
And that is exactly what Eric is trying to do.
I go there actually in person quite a bit.
And when he's not there, he's online, searching, waiting, and trying to stay positive. The new jobless numbers do have a silver lining. It means the period of time people like Eric and Fox can get unemployment benefits changes from 14 weeks to 28 weeks. Lauren?
Some hope on the jobless front, though. Toys R Us is bringing some holiday cheer. They say they'll hire 45,000 temporary employees at their stores nationwide, including the Orem location. That's 5,000 more holiday workers than in 2011. The retailer says employees will be around through the new year, and they'll consider them for any full-time positions. The man Mill Creek police say caused a 4-hour standoff Sunday is now under investigation for weapons violations. Police say David Charles Baker set up booby traps of explosives around his home, and neighbors say Baker posted several videos online of his religious rants and bragging about bomb making. Police say they found drugs and weapons inside his home. They're still investigating his online activity.
A federal judge says an article by the West Valley City Mayor isn't defamatory and dismissed the lawsuit against him. Mike Winder used a fake name when writing about former Utopia employee Chris Hogan. He says the article accused him of extortion, but the judge ruled there was no defamation. Hogan claims his reputation is tarnished. The ink is dry and the banners are up. Provo has a new brand, a new slogan, and a new image to unify the city's look. 11 News reporter Ashley Munguia talked with the mayor's office to find out how these new logos are helping the city's image.
Welcome home. This new slogan is flooding Provo streets with banners from the city's latest rebranding efforts. City officials started this process back in 2010 and say these changes needed to happen.
Our logo was outdated, and we had a number of departments and divisions that had developed their own logos over time, and so there was certainly a lack of continuity.
The mayor's office released a style guide with new city. One main difference, the first O in Provo is customized for each department.
These Provo Welcome Home banners aren't the only things changing with these rebranding efforts. Provo City officials are also getting new business cards.
The city chose Welcome Home as its slogan to figuratively and literally welcome those who visit and live here. The city's economic department says this all also affects businesses looking to expand or relocate to Provo.
Regardless of what we say about Provo, it's really kind of what they think about Provo, so this kind of directs that.
It's also reflected in national rankings. Forbes named Provo the #1 spot for the best place for business and careers.
We don't wake up every morning and say, we're going to work on that list, and really not Provo City. It's the businesses, it's the people that are here.
And with these new changes, those people here are always welcome home. In Provo, Ashley Munguia, 11 News.
City officials say there aren't any hard switchover dates, but you can check out the city's style guide with all of the new logos by clicking on Ashley's story on our website, 11news.byu.edu. Right there, she's got a link.
When 11 News at noon returns.
Parking pain. Find out how far some students will go to get a spot close to campus.
And speeding up. Life in the fast lane may be getting a little bit faster. The places where you can let your lead foot rule. More Utah students are earning college credit early through advanced placement exams. The Utah Office of Education says more than 20,000 students took AP tests this year, a more than 10% increase from last year. Officials also saw an 11% increase in the number of students passing the exams. And Utah drivers could start zooming a little faster next year. As 11 News reporter Elisa Kleinman tells us, 80 could be the new 75 on Utah interstates.
A legislative subcommittee voted to add more 80-mile-an-hour speed limit test zones in both northern and western Utah. That makes lead-footed Utahns very happy, and UDOT's study shows that it's safer.
Next time you get in the car, buckle up, because drivers might be speeding up, and it won't be illegal. A legislative subcommittee unanimously voted for more 80 miles an hour speed limit test zones.
We're not increasing speed just for the fun of it. You know, Utah is a big state. It's a long state. By the time you travel from north to south through Utah, you may have traveled through 2 or 3 or 4 eastern seaboard states.
UDOT is making their current I-15 test zones to Scipio and Fillmore permanent. The proposal is to add test zones on I-80 out to Wendover and I-15 and I-84 in northern Utah. The study found that Utah drivers typically drove around 80 miles an hour, no matter what the speed limit was.
We have a series of speed studies over multiple years. The speeds have remained constant, so even though we raised the speed limit, the speeds have remained about the same.
The studies also found that there were up to 20% less accidents and fatalities in the zone.
That's that people kind of have their own comfort level or their built-in speed limit. Even if you told them they could travel 100 miles an hour, many people will not do that because they're just not comfortable.
UDOT is in the process of making their current test zones permanent. By the way, we aren't the fastest state out there. Texas has zones posted at 85 miles an hour. Lauren?
Finding a Y-lot parking space on campus can be extremely competitive. 11 News reporter Blake Tillotson shows us that some students will try almost anything to get a closer spot.
Cougars, start your engines and enter the racetrack that is BYU student parking. Beginning with a yellow sign and ending at the open stall finish line. Some win and make it to class on time.
I found an older lady and I asked her if I could take her parking spot and she said yeah, so it worked out this time.
And others face the consequences of defeat.
Well, I had an appointment this morning and so I came up to campus looking for a place to park and there's nothing here, so I'm just hanging out.
So why don't students just park further away and avoid all the chaos?
For some reason, people don't want to walk. We have adequate parking stalls, but we just don't have them in every building.
But even if students manage to snag a closer parking spot, they still have to summit what's simply known as the hill. And no matter how many times they summit, it never gets easier.
Still, most choose to feel the burn as they stalk their prey, waiting for the opportunity to speed around the next corner or offer some random stranger a ride. And if all else fails?
Last week, I went and bought a salad at Wendy's so I could park there. I shouldn't say that. In fact, don't tell anyone, my secret.
So those students aren't entitled to a close-in spot. Many say premium parking is worth the wait. On the BYU campus, Blake Tillotson, 11 News.
Unlike other nearby universities, BYU parking is free of charge and creates no significant revenue for the school.
Same-sex marriage law could go before the Supreme Court. A Philadelphia airport bag surprised officials with quite a bang. And California legalizes driverless cars. Here's a look at news from across the nation. The Supreme Court will choose whether to take on 2 new same-sex marriage cases in the upcoming week. The New York case deals with how the federal government treats same-sex couples, while the California case centers around the voter-approved ban Proposition 8. If the justices decide to take either case, arguments and rulings wouldn't start until next year. A police officer under investigation is accused of firing a gun in the Philadelphia airport. TSA screeners say they saw the gun in a flight attendant's bag, and that's when the officer tried to unload the weapon. Police say he accidentally fired a shot into a wall. No one was hurt. The attendant says she forgot to check her bag before reaching security. And California could be heading back to the future with Google's new driverless car. Governor Jerry Brown will sign a bill at Google's headquarters today that makes the automobile street legal. It has a camera-guided steering, computer-controlled pedals, and a GPS, though it still requires a person to take over if necessary. The futuristic car will require DMV to change the definition of a driver. So I guess a robot's a driver now. That's your news from across the nation.
Provo, it was a little rainy last night, and we're going to have some rain throughout the day, but probably won't stick around too long. We have some cloud coverage here, and not too chilly, but fall is officially here as of Saturday. Currently in Provo, we are at 55 degrees with a humidity about 82 and wind speed of about 5 miles per hour, but not too much. It's pretty calm. What to expect tonight, we're going to have mostly cloud coverage, and with a northwest wind becoming calm towards the latter part of the night. We had our first snowfall last night up near Alta and Snowbird, and also on Mount Nebo you could see snow. And that snow coverage will be light and won't stick around too long, but above 10,000 feet we had snow, so that's exciting. As you can see, we have some storm systems coming in through the western part of the state, exiting through the east, and we'll have that throughout the day, but it should clear out around 6:30 this evening. So some storm systems coming and leaving. Now our highs throughout the state. We have Salt Lake City, Logan at about 68, and then those showers must be cooling off the state because we have some lower temperatures definitely. But St. George at 84. We've been seeing them in 90s, but it's at 84 today, and we can attribute that to those thunderstorms. And our southern Utah 5-day forecast. We'll have some storms today, probably some thunderstorms, and we'll have sun throughout the week. So nice temperatures. We're hot, but we're not too hot. And so our northern Utah 5-day forecast will have some showers today, scattered, and sun throughout the rest of the week. A little cloudy, but sun throughout the week, so we're going to be good. So some sun to look forward to, some showers to look for. Best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, I'm excited. I really am wanting to take advantage of this hot weather. Last of it.
Thanks, Ariel. So Sean, I know after that football game tonight, there are probably some refs that are watching their backs today.
I think the replacement refs as a whole are probably watching their backs after what's happened the first few weeks of the NFL season. And next on sports, controversial call. A last-second play gave one side the win, but the other side is crying foul. And back on the ice, BYU's hockey team is all laced up and ready to score, but it comes with a price. Sports is next. BYU women's soccer made it 8 straight wins last night, taking down Pac-12 foe Oregon 1-0. The only goal of the game came from senior Carly Payne-Holmo in the 6th minute, and then the Cougar defense held off a furious Duck attack in the second half to improve to 10-1 on the season. They'll head home to Southfield to take on UVU Thursday night at 7. But soccer isn't the only Cougar squad on a roll this season, as 3 BYU teams are in the top 15. Men's cross country still holds the highest rank among Cougar squads, sitting at number 3 in the nation after winning their first 2 meets of the fall. Women's soccer has cracked the top 10, coming in at number 9 in this week's polls. And undefeated women's volleyball jumped to number 11 after knocking off a ranked Pepperdine squad on Thursday. Well, shredding the ice and blasting goals aren't the only ways to contribute to the success of the BYU men's hockey team. 11 Sports reporter Jason Ludlow shows us how this team relies on dedicated volunteers both on and off the ice.
BYU men's ice hockey is a collegiate club sport not regulated by the NCAA. That means no athletic scholarships, meager monetary aid from the university, and dozens of volunteer hours just to play a single game. They plan practices, schedule games, raise funds, and manage piles of paperwork.
Without the help of their faithful volunteers, the BYU men's hockey team, quite frankly, would not exist.
But BYU is home to many hockey humanitarians willing to help with more than 40 volunteers, from the general manager to the water boy. Coach Ryan Newton says it allows the players to focus on what they do best.
The biggest part of the volunteers is they make this happen for the players. That the players, all they have to worry about for the most part is playing, and that's why they're here.
General Manager Stan Weiss has already dedicated 20 years of his life to hockey and says there are a lot of ways for anyone to chip in.
We've got lots of opportunities for you to volunteer, and if you don't have that much time, then support us by coming to the games and bring all your friends with you.
And believe me, they'll put you straight to work. In Provo, Jason Ludlow, 11 Sports.
The Cougars and their valiant volunteers return to the ice this Saturday night at 8 to take on our rival Utes in Salt Lake City. And to learn more about how you can contribute to the success of the team, visit Jason's story on our website, 11news.byu.edu. And football fans may be disappointed at how the 2012 season is shaping up on the field, but the 2013 football schedule is shaping up pretty nicely on paper. BYU announced a home-and-home deal with Middle Tennessee State of the Sun Belt Conference, with the Blue Raiders coming to Lavelle Edwards Stadium next season. The MTSU game is the 10th confirmed game next season, which could be the toughest schedule in BYU history. BYU hosts the likes of Texas, Boise State, Georgia, and the team from up north, as well as heading to Wisconsin, Notre Dame, and Houston, among others. And the regular NFL referees may be able to demand the moon and get it after last night's showdown between Green Bay and Seattle, as an otherwise forgettable game had one of the wildest endings you'll see. With Seattle down by 5 in the final seconds of the game, Seahawks QB Russell Wilson heaves a desperation throw, and both Packers safety MB Jennings and Seahawks wideout Golden Tate seem to come down with it. Now watch this as one official starts to signal an interception, the other gives the touchdown sign, and the referee finally ruled a simultaneous catch, which goes to the wideout, giving the Seahawks the 14-12 controversial stunner. And the bad luck continues for former BYU standout Austin Collie, as the Indianapolis Colts announced that Collie will miss the rest of the season with a ruptured patella tendon. It's the most recent in a string of injuries for the fourth-year pro, who also missed most of the 2010 season with a broken hand and 2 concussions, and then suffered a 3rd concussion this preseason.
You know, that seems like almost more injury time than actual playing time.
It probably is. It's one of those where you wonder if it's time for him to hang up the cleats and worry about his long-term health with as much as he's getting hurt.
Yeah, sad but true. Still to come on 11 News at noon. Bang and bling bling, what a jeweler in Georgia is doing to boost sales and break a few tough guy stereotypes. We'll be right back.
A Georgia jewelry store owner is adding some macho to his store's sparkle. The offer is simple. If you buy a $2,500 ring, you get a free rifle. Mike Geller got the idea from a car dealer in Missouri and says the offer is bringing a flurry of curious customers. Those who buy a ring don't get a gun on the way out, but they get a voucher for the free rifle. Geller hopes to capitalize on the bling that's bringing the bang.
So my question is, what does a ring and a rifle have to do with each other? How did that end up coming about?
I don't know. I'm from the South, and so I think it's fair to say that marriage and hunting are both really good business down there.
Something for the girl, something for the guy?
Maybe so.
That can work out. Well, that's your 11 News at noon for Tuesday, September 25th.
You can join us on our website anytime, 11news.byu.edu.
Thanks for watching. Have a great afternoon.